You need to surround yourself with as many people as you can that are doing what you want to do. The very first thing that I would do today if I was getting started in real estate is find my people. You need to find your people because there is no way you can get into a new business venture without surrounding yourself with all the people that are doing exactly what you want to be doing. How do you do that? Well, first of all, wherever you live, I promise there's going to be multiple real estate meetups in your area. Now, I know there's exceptions to that rule. Maybe you live in a small town in Kansas and there are no real estate meetups there. Well, you do live near a big city. If you have to drive an hour, find your real estate meetups. And don't go to just one or two. You need to be consistent. Find a meetup that you go to every single month and make sure that you're introducing yourself. You are going to need new friends because they are going to help get you through some of the low points that you're going to have getting into a new business venture and being an entrepreneur. You need to surround yourself with as many people as you can that are doing what you want to do. Another great thing that you can do, which is join a mentorship. Now, mentorships are so great for learning and figuring things out, but the number one thing a mentorship is good for, networking. When you're looking for a mentorship, when you first get into real estate, ask around. Find the one that you know is going to give you the most access to the most people. Me personally, I joined a mentorship called Sub 2 with Pace Morby. They have people all over the country in this mentorship. I'm in Florida. If I get a deal in Portland, Maine, I don't know anybody in Portland, Maine. I just go into my mentorship group and find somebody there, and immediately I can start doing deals in Portland, Maine. You really need to find your people. A mentorship is also great for learning. If you have a question, you can just easily catch someone, call them, say, hey, I'm in this mentorship, can you help me out? It's such a great way to learn and to connect with people. So if this is something that I was starting today, all over again, and it's actually what I did, I knew that was the first thing I was gonna need to do. Find the people that are doing what I'm doing. I found a mentorship and I joined that mentorship. And honestly, that catapulted my career right away. Now, the next thing that I would do getting into real estate is I would evaluate what my situation is. And what do I mean by that? Well, you need to figure out, what do I have to give to this business? And that breaks down into two things. Do I have time? Or do I have money? If you have money, that's great. You know that you're going to be able to link up with people and invest in what they're doing. If I have time, that's great too, because then I'm going to be able to bring value to other investors by bringing them leads. That is the number one thing that you can do for other millionaires, is bring them leads. We're all here to make money. So evaluate your situation, figure out what you can do. Do you have time or do you have money? And maybe you have a combination of both, but you're gonna need to know yourself and know which way you wanna go in the real estate business. Because I tell you what, that is the number one hardest thing about real estate, is that there are a million different ways that you can get into it. I could do a 60-minute YouTube video just on the different ways to get into real estate. So we're gonna keep it basic. Do you have time or do you have money? Then the third thing that you're gonna need to do, and honestly, I hate that I have to say this, but I do, is take action. This business is gonna be 90% action taking, right? So what do you do when you first get into a new venture? You do research, right? Well, you can get stuck in a research hole. So we call it the black hole of research, where you're spending months and days and maybe even years, I'm not kidding, I've heard of this, just doing the research, figuring out where you want to go. you're never gonna get anywhere. It's like a car without gas. You're just gonna sit there and you're never going anywhere. So you need to know that in this business, in order to go anywhere, you're gonna have to put 90% action into it. And 10% is gonna be that research, right? So when you're evaluating what you're doing, make sure that 90% of that is actually finding deals, finding leads, talking to people. You're out there, putting yourself out there. Because if you're just sitting behind a computer or a phone, sure, it's great just to kind of get to know it and to dabble in it, but you're never gonna start your business. So you wanna take action. So that comes back to, okay, so if I'm gonna take action, I'm a person that has money and I'm gonna take action, what does that look like? Well, that will look like going back to number one, which is finding your people, right? So hook up with people, figure them out, do your research on them, find people that you trust, and link into what they're doing. Invest in their business, create some cash flow. And this way you can kind of even talk to them about how the process works, figure out the process for yourself. So then once you've gone through the process yourself, you can bring others in on the process and make money with other people. So if you have that money, you're gonna wanna link up with other people, let them know, find people you trust, and invest with their businesses, right? Now, if you have time, this is going to be where you wanna take all of your action in finding leads. How do I find leads? I'm gonna say what I would do if I was starting out today. Now, when I first started out, it was during COVID. So this was 4 years ago, literally 4 years ago. In February is when I started. And we were entering into COVID. And when COVID hit, nobody was going anywhere. So I chose cold calling. And cold calling is still a great way to generate leads, but it's not gonna get you where you need to go fast enough. So you need to do something that's gonna get you there faster. If I was starting today, I would be door knocking. I would be going out there, talking to people, finding distressed properties. You can find distressed properties through the courthouse. You can find distressed properties literally by driving down the street. If you're taking your kids to school and you see a house with maybe some gutters falling down, or it needs a paint job, or the weeds are overgrown, shoot, after you drop your kids off at school, just drive up and knock on those doors. Find out what people are doing. Find out what's going on with that house, and then take that lead and go back to what I was saying in number one, finding your people, and take it to your person and work that lead with someone. And you're just gonna repeat that over and over and over again as many times in a month, a week, a day that you can. Do it over and over and over. So door knocking would be my number one, and then obviously it would be what I like to call joint venturing. When you're networking, you're finding buyers, you're finding wholesalers, you're finding fix and flippers. Find out what all those people want and what they need, right? And you're going back to them and you're working with them on how best to bring them leads. This is action taking. You want to make sure that you're doing 90% action taking in your real estate business. Again, you're never going to get anywhere unless you're doing the work. So to recap what I spoke about today, the top 3 things that you should do when getting into real estate: number 1, find your people. Number 2, evaluate your situation. Do you have time or do you have money? And number 3, and most important, take action. So please continue to follow along as I unveil your beginner's guide to real estate investing.